This is the Chopped Podcast, episode number 3. Oh, yeah. Hey everyone, and thanks so much for joining me today. This is episode number 3 of the Chopped Podcast. Today I'm interviewing the zany, talented, and oh so creative Bev Weidner of the site Bev Cooks. I cannot believe we're already at the 3rd episode of Chopped Podcast, and thank you so much for all the great feedback I've gotten from people so far. It's been wonderful to see the reaction from everybody. I have so many more interviews to share with you, and I just can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. The Chopped Podcast is designed for people just like you, bloggers who love food. So each week I'll be sharing about interviews or thoughts or anything related to food blogging. That could be recipe development, food photography, writing posts, editorial calendars, you just name it. That's what we're going to be talking about. And the goal is to talk about what works with food blogging and maybe even a little bit about what doesn't. Today's interview is with Bev Weidner, and we're talking about finding your authentic voice. Of course, we're also talking about other things too, like, I don't know, Bev's new site. She's got a new design coming out soon. Her favorite Instagram tips. And what else? Oh yeah, the twins. We can't forget about Will and Natalie, right? They're the stars of Bev's Instagram account. And they're getting cuter by the minute. So yeah, we talk a little bit about the twins. I read this quote recently: the privilege of a lifetime is being yourself. And the thing is, that's not as easy as it sounds. And so I've kind of actually been on a quest over I'd say the last 6 months or so, asking everybody I meet, what is authenticity? And the answers are oftentimes surprising, but I have to tell you, somehow it still feels elusive to me, trying to find your own authentic voice and being yourself. Bev and I talk about this and how important it is to really take the time to figure out what it is that you like and what it is that you don't like. And over time, that will develop into your own version of authenticity. And so, as you can imagine, that takes a little bit of work. It's about, thinking about the things that you like and things that you don't. Oh, and on top of all of that, Bev reminds us why it's so important to not to take ourselves so seriously. So if you think about that, that makes a lot of sense when you're trying to be authentic. You got to, just take some of the pressure off. So grab a cup of tea, prop up your feet, and join us as we chat about all things authenticity. Hey everyone, I'm so excited to have Bev Weidner of Bev Cooks on the show today. Bev, I can't wait to get into your story, but before we do all that, I first wanted to say welcome to the Chopped Podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Does my hair look okay?
Your hair looks great. Your recipes are amazing, your photography. I just love everything about you and your white house. I can't wait to look at Instagram and see new pictures of you. But first of all, I wanted to do a little bit of backstory. Can you tell us the story about how Bev Cooks began?
Sure. Grab some coffee. I'm just kidding. It was
tea time.
Yeah, exactly. I would say it kind of organically grew a little bit. The whole idea for a food blog for me was, I was inspired by reading a lot of other food blogs out there. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, I bet I could do this. I've got something to say. But I knew nothing about, and still don't really know much about food photography. I just wing it. And I had this little point and shoot camera before I got my nice one. And I would just take some photos of my dinners after work when I had a job, when I worked out of home, rather, and would post them on Facebook and would put some little funny, quirky caption or whatever you want to call it on Facebook with the photo, and people started to like it more, and I thought, well, maybe I'll do a Tumblr. This is kind of fun, and actually post the recipes. And so then I had a little Tumblr account for about 6 months, and during that whole thing, I decided I was really unhappy with, I guess I'm just kind of stagnant in life, just not really sure where to go. And so I quit my job, and I stayed home because I just really wanted to garden and clean my baseboards. I mean, who has time to do that? Nobody has time to do that. It's really stressing me out, these baseboards
They are stressful.
They are so stressful. Yeah. Oh my God, man. Of course, that's on the ceiling. But anyway, So in that little era of quitting my job and staying home to just kind of figure it out, I decided to buy the domain for my website and like just take the plurge, and and I did, and it was just one of those things where nothing happens overnight, but it was pretty quick. I mean, I just fell in love with it. I just fell in love with taking photographs of food, talking about the experience, writing out recipes, thinking about new ways to combine different recipes, thinking about what people might want to eat, what I want to eat, just all of it, just the community, and it just grew from there, which sounds cliche, but, and, in that little era of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, lo and behold, food blogging found me.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that story.
I'm not crying.
I'm kind of got a tear right here. And so you didn't really start out with this big passion for cooking, and that kind of grew over time?
True. Very true. When Aaron and I got married almost 10 years ago this April, I would buy a jar of Prego or Ragu or whatever it's called and throw it over some spaghetti and call it a day. Like, that was the way I cooked, and I just didn't really know much about it. And my friend got me a subscription to, it was called Everyday Food, and it's a Martha Stewart publication. It's no longer it no longer exists, but she got me a subscription to this magazine, and it was just, all of the eyes were opened, all of the light bulbs went off in my head, and it was just like, I really want to learn how to cook, like, really well, and this is exciting, and I didn't know food could be like this in my house, I don't have to go to a restaurant to have things taste really good and be good for me. So the obsession began.
For me, that kind of book was, somebody gave me the book, The Good Food Book by, I can't even think of her name right now, but I felt the same way. Like, there was this passion. I've never even thought about making your own homemade spaghetti sauce. What? Right, I thought they sold that stuff in a jar.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's kind of a cool thing to start, creating your own flavors and knowing how you like it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so then, and so you actually taught yourself food photography then too, because you are amazing. I love your shots.
Oh, thank you very much. I have a lot to learn, but I do. I shoot in natural light. It's all during the day, early in the early afternoon while the babies are pseudo sleeping. I have big windows in my living room, and so I just shoot on my kitchen table, and I don't know what I'm doing, and just take some pictures, and if they look good, I'm like, yeah, that works. So, yeah, and just looking at magazines, I had, way back in the day, I was very, very obsessed with, cooking light and fine cooking, and like I said, everyday food, and these magazines, and I would just study. Oh, and Real Simple, and I really like the Real Simple style, like just the very minimal. I don't have a lot of props in my photos, which I love that kind of photography. I love seeing a bunch of things. I do. Yeah. But for me personally, with the time that I don't have before the gremlins awaken from their cave, I have to keep it simple. And so I typically just shoot on my white table and put a couple forks down and a napkin and glasses of wine or whatever, and just go.
But white can be challenging too, I think. If you don't get the right light on it, it can look gray, which is not good.
Yeah, I have so many. My main thing is like white balance. I just have so much, but I just don't have the time to like get it right, and it's awful. This is going to sound terrible, but I just I'll try to, because if I edit it and I add some warmth to some photos, then it just looks too orange, and so oftentimes my whites will look just a little bit blue.
Yeah.
But the first looks okay, so I just move on. I need some help. So if anybody out there wants to teach me about white balance, I'm all ears.
Oh man, white balance is hard. It is just really,
it is hard.
And I think when I do get it right, I feel like it's mostly by accident, so then I don't even know how to get it.
Absolutely. It's like the clouds came in front of the sun for a split second, which had had this nice diffused look, and everything's perfect, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually good. Oh wait, I'm not.
Where are those clouds?
Wait, where the clouds?
Exactly. I do feel like I'm at the whim of the weather sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Is it better for you like in the winter, or with now there's no trees or leaves on the trees?
My favorite days to shoot are when there is snow on the ground, because all white
Yes.
just throws a bunch of white light around in my room, and it's just so pretty. I don't have. It's not too warm. It's not too cold. It's kind of right in the middle.
Do you ever have a day where you don't even have something that you've prepared, but you notice that the light is just perfect, and so you've got to fix something?
Yeah, and usually it's funny because I prefer my iPhone pictures over my camera, which is, I know that's kind of a popular thing right now. Just everybody probably feels like that. But I can always, in my editing on my iPhone, I can feel like I can get those colors better. Moodier,
Yes.
shadowier, whatever, what have you, brighter, but.
Do you use pictures from your iPhone on your site?
No, well, the only times that I use my iPhone photos are for Friday Flotsam, which is just a series that I do every Friday, and it's Flotsam, the word itself just means rejects or leftovers, and, obviously I don't feel like what I'm talking about is a reject. I'm always in a satirical place in my head, so I chose Friday Flotsam just to mean, like, here's some extra stuff, extra blah blah at the end of the week that has mostly nothing to do with recipes or food.
But those are really popular posts, it seems to me. Like, you get a lot of interaction on them. And
I do. I mean, I feel like it's growing. I'll tell you what, it's the funnest post for me to write every week. I look forward to it. I really do. It doesn't have to be about food. I don't have to describe flavors. I don't have to describe textures. Sometimes I just get so tired of having to describe what something tastes like,
Yes.
But with stories and lipstick and books and TV, it's fun. It's just fun. And baby stories, I haven't posted very many lifestyle, like, baby stories yet this year, but I have some things rolling around in this noggin.
Get ready, everybody.
Yeah,
Something's coming.
Brace yourself. I'm just kidding. You'll probably fall asleep.
Well, speaking of the twins, we should talk about that because I had the pleasure of meeting them at Chopped Conference, and they are adorable.
Thank you.
I personally think Will wanted to come home with me.
I think he did. He was necking you, it seemed. He was,
Yes.
He was very fresh with you.
I was really in love with him, yeah. And how has that been? Has that added complication to your life? I'm sure it must, as far as food photography and...
the best kind of complication, I guess I should say. I don't know. But, I do definitely have days where, in cooking, and everybody knows this, some things are just time sensitive. You have to do it right then, or you're going to lose the right melt, the right whatever, the right glisten, the right this. And if you don't do it right, if you don't shoot it right then, or flip it, sear it the right way, it's going to change everything. And so, seriously, sometimes they will be awake and in the kitchen and crying and wanting something, and I'll just be like, hold up, I got to finish this, hold up, give me 5 minutes. And they're fine. They adapt. You just kind of walk around. I just give them utensils, like little clingy, jangly metal, like measuring spoons. And they love
go to town.
Love to walk and just jangle them and yeah. So
maybe you're trying to create future drummers or what?
Oh, that's funny you say that. Yeah, today Natalie had a little wooden stick, just a plain little wooden stick in her hand, and she was just banging it on everything. And I heard Erin say, "Oh, somebody would be proud of you, some drummer." I don't know. Maybe.
Personally, I don't think there are enough female drummers in the world, so I think that's a good plan.
There aren't. We have Sleater Kinney, which is no.
And I say that because I know that both you and your husband have this musical background.
Yes,
that's how you met, right?
In a way, yes. We met in 1998. I was actually dating his best friend. And it was one of those things where, to this day, I'm really close with his wife, and we're still really, all of us together are really great friends. They're in Arkansas, and we see them all the time when we go to Arkansas. But I did meet him I met Erin through his best friend, and in that whole circle, all of us were musicians and playing in indie rock bands and doing little tiny mini tours together and playing shows together. So, that world was what we were immersed in. And then when I moved to Kansas City to be with Erin, which is a crazy story in itself, that can be another podcast. It would take me 30 minutes. But we were in a band together, and I played the bass, an instrument that is bigger than me, and and I would wear, it was an off-white jazz Fender bass, and I would wear off-white high heels to match, because obviously that's what you do.
What else do you have to say about that?
Right? And I sing.
That's enough.
And, yeah, we would sing together and play guitar, so yeah.
So you must have some hope that the kids are going to be
They're
musical.
Going to be musical.
Yeah.
If not, I'm sending them back. What's the return policy on this? She can't sing.
Nope. Yep. Yeah, I don't want this one anymore. Well, it's funny that you say that about the kids crying, because sometimes I think, if you think, like, my mom lived in Georgia for a few years, and I went to visit her, and they showed the quarters where the master people lived, and then they would say how their kids would go downstairs to live with the servants. And I think, sometimes I think we don't realize how detached parents have been from their kids for so many years.
Right.
And kids have it pretty good nowadays, I think, as far as being close
really
to their parents.
I feel like that too, definitely.
So a little bit of, them finding ways to entertain themselves is not such a bad deal.
Oh, no. And they have each other. And that I do have that advantage, is that I can, plop them down while I'm working on a recipe or something, and they will, for the most part, they play really, really well together. They are going through this competitive thing where if she has something, he wants it, and vice versa. But, they're really great babies. I lucked out.
I'm secretly jealous of most twins because my siblings are quite a bit older than me, and so I never really had that, I just think it looks cool to be that close to somebody.
Oh, yeah, I know. My sister and I are really, really, really close now these days. These days we are. And she's 3.5 years younger than I am. And I loved growing up and having her there. I mean, we hated each other when we were little, of course.
Yeah.
But now we're really, really close, and I love that. And I want that for them, too. I want them to always have each other's back and be super protective. I mean, I have these little visions, little charming tales in my head, oh, this is the way it's going to go down in high school, and she's going to, Nat's going to make sure all of his girlfriends fit her criteria and vice versa. So we'll see. They'll probably kill each other.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Exactly. My dreams will be crushed.
I know. Yeah, sometimes it does seem like kids are good at that. They know how to twist your dreams around on you. But, as long as they're good and healthy and happy, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at the conference, you and I talked a little bit about this topic of authenticity. And I think I told you how it's something that's really been, it perplexes me sometimes, because I think it seems really simple on the surface, but when you really kind of start to pick at it, it's kind of complex. And I think you have a writing style that's really unique, and it seems like it's really you. I'm curious, is that something that, did you have to develop that, or like you say, you kind of have this voice in your head all the time that you just listen to that?
Yeah. I mean, the alien voices in my head just direct me to do, cliche as it may sound, be yourself, and whatever that is going to be awesome when you put it to paper or when you put it to internet. But I will say that sometimes finding your voice can take some practice, and just practice with writing, and practice with storytelling, and practice with how you relay anything and everything, really. And a lot of that's going to come from inspiration, reading other blogs, resonating with other writers, and I think like that girl or that guy or whatever. I would say the exact same thing. That's hilarious. Why haven't I written something like that in my blog? That's awesome. Whatever it may be. And, a lot of bloggers, and this is totally fine, but a lot of bloggers stick straight to food talk. And it might sound a little bit like a textbook, like information load, basically. And that's fine. And a lot of readers out there, they don't want anything outside of that. They want just the information, just the recipe. I just want to eat. Girls got to eat, But for me personally, I do like a silly factor in everything. I never take me seriously. Never. And my dad is a jokester, and so I was around that my entire life, and I was always taught to think kind of like that. I guess I could say, in the way he raised us, and they're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people, my parents. But my dad always had this just hilarious monkey side to him, and everything every lesson that was learned, everything that it was taught, it was always with a laugh. And so I always learned how to everything. I feel like I'm like rambling now, but just to do it. I mean, just make fun of yourself. I mean, nothing should be too serious. Nothing should be too pretentious or too wordy or too this or that. But for me personally, I just kind of like a relaxed approach to food blogging, and some of that may come out in my writing. And not to say I've gotten better, because I mean I sounded like a 5-year-old when I started. I scream a lot, but I would say these days I'm a very mature 5-year-old. We're getting
your 5-year-old has matured. I like that.
That's right. I'm very mature, very sophisticated 5-year-old.
Well, personally, I have this theory that the 5-year-old version of us is actually the more authentic version.
I think so too. I think it's exhausting to be serious, and too serious rather, but
I have this picture of me when I don't know, it was between 5 and 7, and I'm just standing there with my hands on my hip, and I'm sticking my tongue out at the person taking the picture. And I love that picture because it has so much spunk in it.
Right.
And I think,
right.
Then we all hit puberty, and then all of a sudden, all we do is care about boys and stuff. And I think that kind of changes who we are at that point.
Right. And, on the flip side of that, like what I was saying earlier was some people just like recipes, and, and some people think I'm too much, over the top, and that's okay. Like I'm not going to please everybody. And no writer is I don't want to say no writer, but you can't please everybody, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And not one person will have the whole world as a fan, and that's just going to be okay. I'm definitely have a tailored sense of humor, but it works for me, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So you said some people think you're over the top. Have you gotten some criticism?
Oh, yes.
Maybe there's a little, huh?
There's some website that's like just a big troll site, and people get off my internet. That's what it is.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yeah, and they just, people just like to talk about just mean stuff,
Yeah.
And I don't ever look at it just because who needs that negativity in your life, and and I don't want that to sway me from writing a certain way or sway me to not write a certain way. So.
Exactly. I mean, it does. I mean, I don't know. It does have a tendency to have a kind of bullying feel to it, where
bullying.
Yeah.
That's the exact word. Bullying.
You're not doing something in a way we want you to do, so we don't really like what you've got to say. That's, I don't know.
Exactly.
Not very cool.
But if you don't listen to it, then you're not being bullied. So.
That's right. Then you're just, playing on your own rules.
Exactly, which is what I prefer. So.
Yeah, like sometimes I've read your Instagram posts too, and I just, the picture in and of itself is just adorable and cute and funny. And then I read your caption and I think, oh my God, where do you come up with this stuff? It's brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Some of those captions, they just come immediately, and some I really have to think about them, because is there a story in the photo? If there's not really a story, do I create a story? Do I not? But lots of different ways to interpret a photo. And so sometimes I really have to look at it and think, what's happening here?
Yeah.
What's the message here? What can I create out of this?
Yeah, I like that. So sometimes it's just an instantaneous thing, and sometimes you got to kind of trick it out of there a little bit.
Exactly. Oh, I'm not ashamed to tell you, sometimes I will take the photo and I will have it ready to go, and it'll take me a couple hours to think of something funny to go with it. Sometimes the story is already there, and then sometimes I have to really create it, and that can take a while, especially when there are diapers to change and they're crying and I need to feed,
You've got this built-in pause there then, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what about your posts? Like, I mean, there are times that here's what I find is, as I'm cooking or I'm shooting, I have all these ideas of what I want to say that come to me. And then for some reason, I'll sit down at the computer and they're gone.
Yeah. Totally. I think that too. And that happens quite a bit for me. And I'll be shooting the recipe or, cooking it and shooting it, and I'll be thinking all these like funny things about it. And I'm like, oh, I need to mention that. And I always tell myself, write this down so that when I sit down at the computer a few days from now to write this, then I'll remember it. And I never do, of course, because that would make sense.
Yeah, exactly. I have started doing that though. Like I actually will keep my computer in the kitchen with me, and so and I will create the post, and sometimes I'll run over and just write the thought in the post, and whether that works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
That's a good idea. You need to start doing that.
Yeah, I also have a thing in my iPhone of notes where I will go in, and if I hear a thought or something sparks something for me, and I'll write it down.
I definitely do that for Friday Blossom. I have a little notes folder in my phone, and anything that happens during the week, or any funny thoughts that I have, or questions that I have, or I'll make a little note and add it to my post on Friday.
Yes, that's great. That way when you sit down to write that, it's like all there. You can just kind of run through those notes.
Exactly. I just go through my bullet points. Like, okay, this is what I was going to talk about.
Cool. I told you about that quote that I read. It says, "The privilege of a lifetime is being yourself." And I love that quote. And I was just thinking, to me, it seems like the only way to be yourself, though, is to really ask yourself the tough questions to find out what it is that you do like.
True. Absolutely. And like you said, the hardest part is figuring out who you are. Even in my 38th year, some days I still am not quite sure. Like, is this me? I don't know. What would I do? What would Bev do? I don't know. And, it's finding yourself, your place in this world, as Michael W. Smith once quoted. I'm just kidding.
I'm quoting Michael W.
I know. I cannot believe. You might want to edit that out. I'm just kidding. You can definitely edit out the Michael W. Smith thing.
I like him. He's got that. What is that song? It's like right on the tip of my tongue. Yes, that's it. So bad. I got Bev to sing, so this is the greatest podcast ever.
That's not even.
Stay tuned. Next week there'll be more.
Right. I'll sing the second half of that horrible song. Well, I'll just say, like you said, the hardest part is figuring out who you are. And that is true. That's very true. And in some ways, it's like you get older, and set in your ways. And while that's comforting and kind of nice when you just kind of know exactly what you want to do, but it's also kind of in a fun way to surprise yourself and to not know exactly who you are. I don't even think I'm making sense.
Yes. You don't want to be too predictable.
Right. I think that's what I mean.
And sometimes I think I think it's about, they always say in soccer, like the more attempts at goal that you've got, the better chance, like after so many times of kicking the ball towards the net, one of these times you're going to kick it in.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel about authenticity, is that you just got to get out there and play and do things. And that's how you discover that you do like this thing this way. Exactly.
I think so. And that's what it kind of goes back to the reading a lot of blogs, just to go back to specifically food blogging and voice finding. You're going to just research, in a weird way, just like reading a ton of blogs and like, oh, I resonate with that. Oh, that sounds like me. Oh, that's funny, blah, blah, blah. And kind of applying that approach to writing to your own voice. And then during that process, you mold it and you hone it and you become something that's unique to yourself.
Right. I see what you're saying. So it's a little bit about understanding what you like out in the world, and then totally applying that to yourself. It becomes your own.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That's very cool. So, you just dominate on Instagram, and I just love that. It's just, your Instagram account is just so fun.
Thank
you.
And
of course, the twins are just adorable. And,
Thank you.
do you use your DSLR or do you use your phone?
Oh, strictly phone. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
All my phone.
That's awesome. And I heard you mention at the conference something about some app that you use. Was it Visco?
Yes, ViscoCam. I really like that app. And they've got a ton of different filters on it and just pretty looks, they can make. You can make a photo from giraffe to fab.
Does it do writing and everything else, like text and stuff?
No, it doesn't do that, but that's okay for me. I just like, it's very simple, it's just a cool app. So I think a lot of people, I think it's like one of the most popular photo apps out there.
Yeah, I got into it, but I just could not figure it out. So it's you actually have it on your phone too, or is it something you do online? Okay.
Oh no, it's just an app on your phone, and so you take a photo, and then you can just drop it into this app, and play with it, a little bit, the filters.
Okay, it'll be my New Year's resolution. I'm gonna get into using that.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that people actually use a hashtag with some of their
They
Vista
do.
photos, and
They do. And remember I talked about hashtags and how I like them.
yes,
Like that's one of my pet peeves actually, is to see, it's like, we know you don't have to tell me. I mean, this is a personal thing, is that when I see hashtag disco cam, hashtag photo, it's like, obviously.
you don't have to do it 3 times.
You don't have to say that 3 times. Yeah. And, to each their own, and more power. If you want to tell us what app you're using, that's great. Disco Cam loves that. I really love that. But for me personally, the picture, the photo, and a simple caption should be the message. And I just don't like to gunk it up with a bunch of, and this is what I used, and this is what it is. Unless it's for a campaign, like I'm doing the Gap thing right now, and so I have to use a hashtag that they supply to me, but I'm happy to do it. When it's a campaign of some sort that you're a part of, and then it's necessary, then I don't have any problems doing that. But I typically kind of steer away from hashtags.
So, Bev, tell me, what would be your number one tip for helping other food bloggers who are trying to grow their audience?
I would say, for me, what worked for me in the beginning was to get your name out there. And the best, quickest way to do that is to comment like crazy all over the place. If you read a blog and you love what they said, and you love the recipe, and you love their photos, tell them. It makes my day to get comments. It makes my day to have feedback. And I feel like, in the beginning, that's what I did all the time, and I wish that I had the time to comment like I did in the early days. But that is what helped me grow my audience the most efficiently, really. And you say something kind of quirky, kind of odd, kind of weird, and people go look. They go, "Who's that? Who's she saying?" And so they come to my site, and there you go. And if I can hook them in with something that I'm talking about, or a photo or a recipe, then good. I've got another reader. Great. But it's not even about you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, whatever. I just love a community, and I love to read blogs, and I get enjoyment and entertainment out of reading blogs and making friends through blogs. I've got some of my best friends, Jessica from How Sweet, and I met in the blog world, and she's one of my best friends in my whole life. We're close.
Oh, that's so cool.
Text and talk.
I heard her interviewed, and she is just quirky. She sounds just like you. She's got that quirky. I just thought she sounded great.
Oh yeah, we traveled. We went to New York together a few years ago, and we have the same pace. I'm sure you can imagine this. Reading her blog, we're both we talk very fast. We talk, and when we're around each other, it's even worse. And we walk fast, and we're just the most annoying couple in the. Talk about obnoxious. We were
especially in New York, right?
Seriously, but we fit New York, such a quick pace of New York perfectly. It was really funny, but.
And your babies are, she just had a baby, didn't she?
Yes, Max. And he is the coolest little kid. Baby, I should say. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He's probably just a few months old at this point, right?
Yeah, he's 3 months old. So cute. 2 months old. Almost.
And so that's cool. That's even beyond just food blogging as a business, or your goals as you made friends.
Yeah.
That will be a lifetime friends.
Exactly,
that's cool.
Exactly. So business aside, the big plus is that you get so much out of it other than a paycheck. It's so great.
That's great. And I was just going to say something about what your last comment was, which was to go out and make comments on other sites. But the thing that I would notice about your comments is that it's a little bit like photography. You know how you can kind of look at a photograph and think, I think I know who shot that.
Right.
I could tell your comments. A lot of times people would say things like, "Oh, those cupcakes look so good," or
right.
But yours are like this zany,
right.
That cupcake needs to get into my mouth right away, or some,
Yeah, you basically want to punch.
They really stood out.
Yeah. That goes back to the whole 5-year-old thing. I read some of those old, I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound crazy. No wonder people hate me.
But it's very authentic and very you, and that's really cool.
You gotta be you.
You gotta be you. We're gonna break into another song. Okay, so we're at the end of this interview, and I just have a few quick, kind of fun questions I want to just rattle out at you. Okay, so
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
What is the one food item you could not live without?
Cheese.
Really? Now, I thought you were going to say chocolate. You threw me off guard.
Oh, well, chocolate.
Cheese and chocolate kind of
Chocolate?
sound the same.
Cheese and chocolate. Cheese
Yes.
and chocolate.
So, okay, so cheese, though. Cheese is the one food you could not live without.
Yeah, just, oh, cheese. Are you kidding?
Put it on everything.
Melted, hard, dip, all of it. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay, good. Okay, what's the favorite app on your phone? I think I know what you're going to say here.
Well, I can't tell you, but it rhymes with Grinsteblam.
Okay, which of the babies is your favorite? No, I'm just kidding.
I ask that all the time. And I'm like, it depends on the moment. It depends on the diaper. It depends on everything.
Whoever has the worst diaper, I like the other one better, right?
Right? Exactly. Like, oh, this is horrible. I like you, Will. You're better.
I guess you could always keep them in limbo about that. That would be good. Do you have time for TV at all? And if so, what's your favorite show?
Oh my gosh, yes. I can talk about TV a lot. I love, well, the shows that I'm watching right now, I mean, obviously Parenthood, but that's done, which is heartbreaking. I don't think I'll ever recover from that. But I love New Girl. I love The Mindy Project. I love, oh my gosh, like current shows. I'm trying to think of like current shows. We're watching The Killing, which I've been talking about just a little bit on my blog, and we're kind of stuck because I'm behind because I always fall asleep when we watch shows because I go to bed so early because I'm 85 years old, and so I need to catch up on that. But really, I'm trying to think about my Hulu list. New Girl, Parenthood. I used to watch. I mean, of course, I loved How I Met Your Mother, Seinfeld, Laverne and Shirley, Friends, Sex and the City. I mean, those are old, but yes,
They're
love
timeless.
TV. Yes.
So, what's coming up next for you, Bev? Anything you can talk about?
I can actually. I do have some stuff. I mean, I'm going to be speaking in Portland in May, in late May, at the Adult Conference, which is going to be fun. And I have a little trip next month, and you'll probably see it and hear about it. And I don't think I can say anything just yet, so I'm going to hold off on that one. The Gap thing is really fun. I'm actually about to start writing for Food Network, which is
Congratulations.
It's for their blog. It's for FN Dish, and so I'll be do a monthly column for them. And
So
it'll
you
be
definitely have gotten to the more mature side of your 5-year-old if you're writing to them, right?
Yeah. I mean, I might even be 6 years old by now.
You're going to graduate up to 6. I like
I'm
it.
going to graduate at 6. I'm graduating myself to 6. It's
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you. It's going to be food that's good. Like the first part of the recipe will be kid friendly, and then the second part of the recipe is how to make it adult fancy. So that's going to be my little column for them. So I think that starts in March. Actually, we're working through all the little deets right now. So that's coming up, and I'm trying to think. I've got a ton of just like little things, some Instagram projects that Gap one's going, and that's fun. And I think that's, yeah.
That's exciting. Okay, so how can people find you online, Bev?
Well, they have to log on to the internet. BevCooks.com. That is me. And my website, actually, this is really cool. My website is getting a major facelift. And it's
Really?
Yes, it's fabulous. I'm within a month we'll be going live, and it's really beautiful. I've had on my site right now. I've had those tomatoes up there for 400 years, and I shot those tomatoes. Those are tomatoes from my garden, and I'm proud of it. But everything's going to change. There's going to be a food section, a DIY section, a life, family, section. Very user friendly. Very like the search bar won't be so wonky. It's just going to be great. It's totally new logo, new look, everything.
So it's one site, but it's going to have different segments and lifestyle and all that stuff.
So yeah, making the switch finally. And so that should go live in about a month, I think. We're doing the migration right now, and I have to do a bunch of retagging. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, tell me about. I know how that goes. It can be a ton of work.
Yes, it's massive. It is massive, but I'm so excited about it. It's going to look beautiful. So you have to come check it out. Yep, bevcooks.com.
That's I can't wait. Everybody, it's going to be so exciting to go to your site in a month, not only to find out, what the new design looks like, but also this, interesting trip that you're going to be taking.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned for more details.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Bev, thanks so much for being with me on the show today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Molly, and I had a great time.
Thanks so much to Bev Weidner for being my guest on the Chopped podcast today. If you have something to share about this episode, maybe how you've discovered ways to be more authentic, or maybe ways that you've learned to just lighten up about it, who knows? Please share it on the show notes page at choppedcon.com/podcast. If you like the Chopped podcast, and I hope you do, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and give it a review on iTunes. This helps the show get discovered by more people. I hope today's show was helpful and inspirational. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.